What's up, guys, and welcome back to Two of Our Own. Welcome to season 2 of Two of Our Own. Season 1 was absolutely fantastic. The love, the support, the feedback we had on it was amazing. You guys will see the new graphics as well. I hope you guys like them. If you don't, keep your opinion to yourself because it took me ages. Of course, I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Harry. First of all, I'm glad you enjoyed your holiday. And second of all, it's good to be back.
Yeah, well, it's only, a month till the Premier League starts again?
Exactly. And I think we said about it a couple of minutes ago. It's been, 45 days since we uploaded the last one? Feels like it's been longer. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We're going to talk about some transfer stuff today. Lack of outgoings, which is terrible. Just wait till Harry starts ranting and then it'll be gone. And we're also going to announce the winner of the Tottenham Hotspur shirt giveaway. So stay tuned to that to the very end. If you skip to the very end to find out the answer and don't come back to watch it or listen to it, you're a prick. We're also, for those of guys that haven't realised yet, we're also now live on Spotify as well, which is going to be amazing. So I'm really looking forward to it. That was one of the biggest bits of feedback we had from season 2, was it'd be nice to be able to listen on the go. So it gives you guys the option of both. And what was the other thing I was going to say? There was something else, but I can't remember what it was. And also as well, if you want to be a guest, all the socials are down in the description and the Discord link's in the description, which has a new Spurs section to it. So go in there, check your details in there, check your availability in there, and we'll get some people on for the Spurs show. So, Harry, let's start with... Oh, right, he's going to start already. Let's start with the Timo Werner loan extension, first of all. Let's start at the beginning. For me personally, I feel like there were times last season where he really showed he could fit the system, and there were times last season that all I saw was Chelsea Timo Werner. Having a full season and a full pre-season, and he's already, one of the games that we played the other day, he forced an own goal. Haven't seen the goal, so I don't know how bad it was. But
is it the Cambridge game we're talking about? Or
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I was behind closed doors. I don't think there's highlights. Is there highlights of that game?
Probably not. No, unless someone was there on their phone. But I think for me, once we've had a full season and a full preseason, it's depth. It's only a loan. The permanent fee is very, very small, smaller than it was last time. And I think with Europe, we've said it before, with Europe, we're playing against teams that are going to be considerably slower. I think the option, even if it's just off the bench, that blistering pace, I think he'll be an okay signing. I'm expecting at least 15 goal contributions from him in all competitions next season if we're going to consider signing him permanently. And me and Harry have already mentioned before, and I'm sure we'll mention again, when we said this about Lamella years and years and years ago, and it never happened. I think for me, it has to be hitting 15 goal contributions in all competitions. We're in 4 competitions next season. If he's not hitting 15 goal contributions, then we don't sign him permanently. I'm not going to lie, I'm not feeling confident that we're going to go and increase attacking quality. What do you make of it?
Well, number one, he's, how old is he? 28, 29 now, Werner?
I ain't got a clue. Honestly, I could not say.
About 28, 29 years old. So for me, his ceiling, as everyone would say these nowadays, is not going to be very high considering his age.
He's 28. He'll be 29 in March.
Yeah. So for me, his level of improvement is going to be quite minimal if he does because of his age, which again poses another thing. Also, his wages for me is a massive issue. Apparently, he's on like 160 grand a week. I was reading.
Yeah, and we're paying all of it.
Really. So a lot of people arguments would say, "Oh, he's on that sort of money, so he's going to have to play." Because I mean, Levy's paying like his third highest wages in the squad, which is kind of crazy. Just for me with Werner, it's just, as I alluded to with the wages, those wages could go to another better signing, surely. I mean, with 160 grand a week. And also just, like I said, I don't think he's going to improve that much. The only benefit to the deal, which kind of sounds a bit weird, for me is that it's not permanent. So at least it's one more year.
If he has a full season to himself and he still doesn't perform to a minimum level, then we can just cancel it at the end.
And I think for me the issue also with Werner is if he was, say, 5 years younger, or like even 3 years younger.
You said this at the end of last season as well when we were talking about it with
Dan. Like maybe there's a level he can go up. Like say he was 26 or something, or 25 or something. So say, and I compare this because the Delhi thing, because you posed the Delhi thing to me. Now with Delhi, because of his age. Is he still like 24?
He's 28, Dele, now.
Is he 28 now?
Yeah, we're getting old, mate.
Wow! Oh my
We're
god,
getting
Werner's the same
old.
age as Dele. But what I'm saying is, if you say had a player who went for like a
If
really
you've got a player who's 25 in bad form, out of favourite his club, there's an opportunity to turn it around.
Yeah.
Once you start hitting the 28, turning 29, if it hasn't happened yet, it's probably not going to happen. That being said, I
And
do
also
feel
say
like
one more thing,
Werner is...
sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
And bear in mind, we have a very attack-heavy system in the sense of that the attacking three have to hit, high numbers really for this system to work, if we're being completely honest. Werner's numbers don't look great. So are we assuming he's going to just be a player who's going to come on and Son's going to occupy the left wing as a starter?
That would be my guess. I'm starting to think.
If that's going to happen, then where's the striker and where's the right winger? Because they don't seem to exist right now.
Yeah,
so,
I was going to say with Werner, I think he's a very form and confidence based player, and I think being in Europa League next season, if you're going away to Serbia or you're going away to places like that, and he can get a hat trick, and everyone goes, "Oh yeah, but the opponents are shit." I think with Werner, we're going to have to look at it in the context of his confidence as opposed to the team he's playing against. If Werner goes and plays against, I don't know, Wimbledon in the FA Cup and scores a hat trick, that's going to do so well for his confidence across all the boards. I think there is an opportunity to almost play him into form next year because of the amount of games and the sheer volume of games we're going to have. And he did show, there were so many times last season where he was in the right position and it was just a little bit of poor decisions. And I think that will come. I think as the system he's played in it more and more, it'll become more and more instinctive. I feel like when we look at his time at Chelsea, when he played under Thomas Tuchel, there was no consistency in the way they attacked. 1 minute Havertz was the focal point. Then it was Werner. 1 minute they're playing balls in behind. Then they were trying to pass all the way through. There was no consistency. With Spurs, we will have that consistency. We saw it from Brendan Johnson towards the end of last season. He was making runs to that back post consistently when the ball was on the left because he knew the ball was going to end up going across that 6-yard box. And I think when Werner gets into the habit of that, and because he's got the whole season to do it, and he's got a full preseason to do it, I think I would have been concerned about it being a panic decision and a poor choice if it was the last day of the window. But the fact that he's been brought in for an entire preseason says to me that Ange clearly sees something there from what he saw in the back end of last season to go.
I'm not going to contradict myself here, but and I've said this on Harry's show, ironically, I actually do like Werner as a player, like his speed.
Yeah, you've said it before, yeah.
But I just, in this sort of system, you need someone to be hitting good numbers, and if he's not hitting good numbers, it's...
But then do you not think our attack last season, it was proof that the inconsistencies of the overall attack was the result of the inconsistent numbers for all the attackers as opposed to the individual players themselves?
So do you believe in the system? It's a good question to ask you. Do you believe it's down to, say, like the combinations of players where it's going to work, or do you think it's down to purely the
I think the instinctiveness of players to play with each other will be what maximizes the system to its best potential. That's where I think, and going on to the next player, that's where I think someone like Lucas Bergvall will be absolutely integral next season, because if you look, and I know it was only in the Swedish league, but if you look at the highlights of him last season, he loved to pick the ball up. He loved to drive at the defence. He loved to push an attack forward. And his end product in terms of when he made runs into the box, and his end product in terms of defence splitting passes or passes out onto the wing, playing wingers into open spaces, was absolutely brilliant. And I think that's where he can be a massive link between your Basumas and your Papsars and your Brennan Johnsons, your Kulusevskis, your I almost said Harry Kane then. Your Heung-min Son. I think he will be such an important player because Spurs have had attacking midfield in the past that just sit there and play a pass. Eriksen was one of those players. Eriksen never really drove forward with the ball. He would always look for that pass. Dele would drive forward with it, or he would already be on the end of a chance. Lucas Bergvall looks very much like a player who is going to receive the ball on a half turn, move into space, drive forward with it, and then release a pass. And I think we missed that. There's so many opportunities last season. I know he's really young. I know he's inexperienced. And I know that a lot of people are going to say you can't just throw him in there. But you don't go and sign a youngster like that with that intent, beat Barcelona to the signing, to go, he's going to sit on the bench and play 10 minutes. I think he will be one of those players that plays so often next season, and he'll be one of those players where you sit there and, like we said with Sarr towards the start of last season, the first 6-7 games, you look at him and you go, without this player, this system's going to struggle. And it did when he went off to AFCON. I think Bergvall's going to be...
or is he more of like a box-to-box? I've never seen him play, so I can't say.
It's weird because he's got the physicality of a box-to-box midfielder. He can push players off the ball. He's got the strength and the physicality, but he's got such a creative instinct. I think he's going to give us a lot of everything, and I'm so excited for him next season.
But for me, I think initially he'll be on the bench, and then, or at most, and then I think he'll start the cup games and Europa games probably at the beginning, and then it'll be like if he does well.
I think he'll be one of those players next season. You can all quote me on this. I can't believe I'm saying this on episode 1, but I think he'll be one of those players who comes on 60th minute for an injury, plays an absolute peach of a game, and then he becomes undroppable because he gives that kind of vibe of a player who is just humble, just keeps. I mean, you look at. I don't know if you've seen any of the training videos, but he's already integrating with the group. He's already communicating with all team members. He's not just gone to Kulusevski because he speaks the same language. He's gone to all players. I mean, Ange stood there and had like a 15-minute conversation with him outside the training ground on day one. So it's clear to me the club and the manager have a plan for him, and he's a player who wants to get stuck in, who wants to be a part of the team from day one. And how many times have we said that? The worst players, when we sign players like Ng and players like Nkudu, players like that who just sat to the side, they came because the move was better for their career, not because they wanted to be a part of the club. And if you remember Angie's quote last season about players who come for Champions League football, I don't want here. I want players who want to play for Tottenham, regardless of where we finish, regardless of the squad. If you want to play for Tottenham Hotspur, not even if you want to play for him, if you want to play for Tottenham Hotspur, if you want to be a part of this group, you are welcome. If you want to become for European football, fuck off somewhere else. And I love that from Ange. And Bergvall just comes across like a player who lives and breathes every word of that. And I'm so excited for him. What did you make of the fact that the club went so early for him? Because it seemed to me like we'd scouted him for a while. And the minute we saw another club going for him, we just went in straight away. There was no doubt in my mind, when we put that bid in, that he wasn't going to sign for us.
But one thing I'll allude to, and maybe this is the bad thing, we signed players like Jack Clark as well, and they came in and didn't do anything. Like, I think it's just because he's probably like a really highly rated youngster. I'm not, like I said, I've never seen him play, so I can't really say, if it's good or bad. And I think the Swedish league is, as you alluded to before, not exactly the highest
quality now.
Quality. So, like I said, I think we need to just see how it goes with him. Really, like how many minutes he plays, if he's on the. I think we'll see like the first 5 games. If he's on the bench at least, then.
Do you not think though these are the kind of signings that we've seen, like the Brightons and whatever, pick up over the years, and we've gone, why the fuck didn't we just sign him before he's worth 80 million after one season?
But who I feel like who Brighton signed that's like that? Do you mean like?
Well, I mean, even so, not even that. Even so, when we were looking at Basuma when he was at Lille, it would have cost us like 11 million, and all right, we only paid 40, but that's a 30 million pound difference because we didn't have the confidence to pull the trigger on the player straight away. I feel like Ange's philosophy, the club's philosophy, the scouting network's philosophy, it's been a complete change of everything. It's gone back to Tottenham as we know Tottenham as a core, which is young, attacking, exciting, creative players to build a team that plays great football, creates loads of chances, scores loads of goals. The success will come as a byproduct of that. It just will. We've seen it. We've seen it with so many teams. We've seen it with Klopp. We've seen it with Pep. When you play creative football and you have players to the highest quality, you will win games. You will win trophies. The next one then, and I already have a counter argument to what I know for a fact you're going to say. How are you feeling about what's your thoughts on Archie Gray?
Oh, here we go. So first of all, I did actually watch some games of Leeds last season.
Oh my God, it's a miracle. I was expecting the first words out of his mouth to be something negative, but here we go.
Well, and to be quite honest with you, on a personal level, I wasn't like that impressed with him. I thought he was a bit like jack of all trades, master of none. That's how he comes across to me. I thought in the final he was quite poor actually, in the playoff final. And I'm not saying like he's awful or something because he's only 18. So like there is.
Yeah, he's definitely not awful. definitely.
there's a massive like improvement possibility, unlike Werner, where he's like 28,
Yeah,
29. So he can get better, but um, do we need more youngsters than we already signed? Like you alluded to Bergvall, we signed. You probably signed someone else last season. Or could this 30, 40 million could have been used in a like an actual attacking position? So, for example, if we go out, this is my biggest issue. I've no issue with signing some youngsters, but if we go out and try and get Neto, for example, I'm just using him as an
yeah.
example, by the way, and
Yeah.
say we paid already 70 million for Eze or 75, whatever it is, and we only have 30 million left or 40 million left, and they want like 60, 70 million for Neto, and we
I
don't get
wouldn't be
Neto.
paying 60, 70 million for Neto anyway because
No,
his
but that's what they
hamstrings
want.
are
They
like
want 60, 70
fucking
million. Yeah.
water.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just using him as an example because we've been
Yeah,
linked
yeah,
on
I know.
Neto.
I'm just taking a piss here.
So say we do that, and because we signed Archie Gray for 30 something million, we can't use the 30 million on that
But
deal.
I think the club are smart enough to plan far enough ahead to know that if you're spending 30 or 40 million on an 18-year-old, it's not going to plan. Like for me,
One thing I
the
will say
fact
though
that
is Archie Gray will be a first teamer next season because I can't see him being loaned out, and he was playing
no, he
regularly
definitely
for
won't be
Leeds.
loaned out.
He'd been regularly
Yeah,
for Leeds.
I see him being a first team. I see him being the sixth first team,
I think
and
he'll
I
play at
think
right
the
back
fact that
actually, personally, but that's just my
the,
take on it.
I
Because
don't think so
Emerson's on
because
his way
Pedro.
out. So.
Yeah, but Pedro Porro will start week in, week out.
No, I mean like in Europa and cups.
Oh yeah, I see that, but I also think he will play a lot in midfield because I think he'll want to play Basuma and Sarr kind of rotating as the eight. Madison and Bergvall was the more attacking player, and I think then that leaves the six, and I think Archie Gray will play a lot in that. The one thing I will say, and I'm not going to pretend to watch any of Leeds games last season because I haven't. I can only go by the data and the stats that I've seen, which seems to be becoming a trend with Spurs at the moment, for better or worse. I really do feel that he has so much potential, and the fact that Brentford had a bid accepted and had a medical scheduled, and Spurs went in so quickly with such a high offer, says to me this is a player we've scouted, we've seen the data, we know he fits everything. Under Ange, we are not going to be a club who goes and throws 20, 30 million pounds on players for the willy-nilly. It's just not going to happen. Ange is a data model manager. The new director of football, Large, whatever his first name is, I don't know. He is
Yeah.
something like that. He is a data-driven director of football. That's how he operates. And Daniel Levy said at the end of last season, or beginning of last season, when we bought Ange in, that he wanted to go back to a young, attacking, creative model at Spurs rather than doing this negative 10 men behind the ball bullshit just for the sake of winning trophies. I think all those things combined, I don't see us making a panic buy at all this summer. So if we've gone and signed him, I think the club has a plan for him. I think Ange has a plan for him. They clearly believe he can go right to the top.
But what I would say is I don't think transfer policy itself has changed because we've been signing young players since like 06, 05, 06.
Yeah, but the young players we've signed, for the majority of them, have been crap.
I mean, for example, we've got Leonard for 1 million from Leeds, like what, 15, 16 years ago, or something like that.
Yeah, so when you take into account inflation, this is proportionally.
I don't know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is though, I don't believe the policy itself has changed. Like, I just think it's dressed up in a different way.
I think the policy hasn't changed, but I think it's more data driven. I don't think it's just looking at young players and signing young players that could be good. It's looking at the physical numbers, comparing it to what you've got or what you want, and then matching the signings rather than just signing young players off the bat.
But like even back then, I'm not saying all our signings were bad or something, but we did sign some good young players, like alluded to, like Lennon, and obviously Bale was around that time as well.
Yeah.
I think he was signing like 07 or something. So like it's not like they were awful back in the day scouting players. It's just whether this is a bigger issue for me is signing young players as a whole. We say this time we just sign young players, right?
Yeah.
If in 2 years we don't win anything, which is very plausible if we're going this route.
Yeah.
I'm saying, is Van de Ven going to wait for Bergvall to like fulfill his potential just so we can win a title, for example, or is he going to wait?
No, but what I do think is I do think we have a lot of experience.
From Man City, by the way.
Yeah, I do think we've got a lot of experience though, and I do think we've got a lot of already first team mature quality. I think Spurs are using this summer. I think there will be a balance this summer. I think we will go and sign, especially an attacker. I think we'll go and sign an age experienced attacker, and I feel like.
Do you think we'll sign a striker? That's my question.
We'll get to that
Okay,
because
okay.
I still don't know. And that was one of the questions somebody asked me. So I think my biggest problem is at the moment is there is so many unknowns with these young players. There are so many things I think are certain, which is they're going to give their heart and soul for the badge. They are going to run and they are not going to stop until they're flat on their face. And I don't think we're going to look at any of these youngsters at any point this season and go, he doesn't give a shit. He hasn't tried hard enough. I just don't get that impression at all. Which, what we've said over the years, is always has to be the very first fundamental principle, no matter what your ability level. And we've said this about Ericsson over the years. We've said this about so many, not Ericsson, Emerson over the years. So many players that we know don't have the ability, but give absolutely everything for the
Even
shirt.
Eric Dyer.
Even Dyer, he knew he wasn't good enough, but he bled Spurs. Spurs was his core. And I think there are so many signings that we're making at the moment that I get that there's not a single player we've signed in the last 18 months, I would say. Well, let's say the last 12 months, that I sit there and think they're not going to give absolutely everything for the shirt. So ignoring the players already here, the players that we've signed, I really don't get the impression that any of them have that kind of attitude about them. So for that, it's a positive, but you need the ability to bridge the gap with the other teams. We will only know how good their ability is once the games start. But that's like any signing, you know. Madrid could go and sign Mbappe, and he could be absolutely fucking god awful. He's
We just
probably
got to
not going
hope
to
they
be.
turn into people like Yasin. What's it Yasin Yamal? Is that his name? Sorry, yes.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yamal, Yamal, the Spanish guy, 16-year-old.
Oh, Jamal, yeah, I know you're on about.
And
Yeah.
Arda something for Turkey, plays for Real Madrid. Loads of
Arda
amazing.
Güler, yeah.
Loads of
But
amazing.
the thing is, I think the problem is we've said for so long that Spurs won't pay the premium for the best young players, and we've gone and spent the minimum for the average young players. Jack Clark being an example of that. I'm sure, like, we could have bought Eze from Palace and would have paid 20, 25 million maybe, but instead we bought Jack Clark at like £11 million, and that £9 million difference is smaller than the difference we're going to have to pay to sign those quality players once they're already proven. And I think someone like Archie Gray, and if you see what Leeds fans say about him as well, they're all absolutely devastated he's gone. And that's a massive indication for me, because when we've signed some of these younger players, that doesn't happen very often. I also think if you look at the reaction with Bergvall when he was announced, and if you look at his family social media posts since the move's gone through and the training photos and stuff like that, I just get a real positive feeling about what we've done so far. However, that being said, what we've done so far is still not good enough. And we're going to go on to outgoings now, because I'm starting to get really pissed off at the moment. And I know you are. I saw your tweets the other day.
Yes.
No, we're going to agree on this because I saw your tweets about it the other day, so I already know your opinion. £8.4 million bid for Emerson Royale. Don't get me wrong, I think AC Milan are taking the piss a little bit.
Yeah.
But if Spurs turn around and said 11.5, 12 million and he's yours, I think they'd cough it up. But Spurs wanting £18 million.
I thought it was 25, wasn't it?
No, but for euros, once you convert it down, it works out about £18 million. Spurs want 10 million more than what they're offering. Meet them in the middle, get him gone, and then bring in the replacement. Do what you need to do. Whoever you've scouted, what it looks like Vanderson from Monaco is a primary target to replace him. Like, if you're going to haggle over every single cent, we are going to have a big problem in the summer, where either there are players that aren't registered, that are getting paid by the club, trained at the club, and aren't playing, can't play, or we're going to end up making so many last-minute deals that when these players go, the replacements are then going to be panic buys. And I think the start of the window so far has logic to it, has reasoning behind it. I don't think there's a single Spurs fan right now. The Werner may be 50-50, but even then, people are starting to see a bit more of some of the logic behind it. I think if you look at any of the signings we've made so far for this new season, I don't think there's a single Spurs fan out there who sits there and says there isn't a logic, there isn't a valid reason to sign those players. It just seems stupid. It just seems rash. Not a single Spurs fan with the right head on, not being deluded, would say that. I don't want us to leave the outgoings to the very last minute of the window and then go and sign players and we sit there and go, we've just rushed it.
You're right, because unfortunately we still have this, we have to sell before we buy mindset.
I don't think it's necessarily that, but like for example, I know he's gone to AC Milan now, but I wouldn't want last minute in the window Spurs to sell Brian Hill, Manuel Solomon, and then gone and got Morata on loan, because you wouldn't have gone and got Morata on loan. I know he's going to AC Milan now, but as an example, you wouldn't have gone and got Morata on loan on day one of the transfer window. Otherwise, you would have done it on day one of the transfer window. That's why I know there's some logic to Werner, because the season had barely finished and we confirmed that he was staying. So I'm really, really concerned that we need to decide the future of Lo Celso. I think he's going to go. And I think Bergvall coming in, I think, shows that. Højbjerg, again, a player we were told is a dead certain to go. We're sat here, 6 weeks before the start of the season, and he still hasn't gone.
And Denmark have been out for
And they've been out for ages. We've got Manuel Solomon, Brian Hill, Emerson Royale, the future Richarlison. Are Saudi going to leave that bid to the last minute? If they are going to leave that to bid to the last minute, we need to be 90% negotiations for our first choice replacement. Because if we're not, we're going to end up with a second or third or fourth choice, which is not good enough. And that's my biggest concern, is that the outgoings, over the sake of £3 or £4 million across the 4 or 5 players we've named, is going to cost us bringing in the replacements we actually want. And there will be a part of Levy right now who will be trying to get the deals of the players he wants to a lower price, and then he'll probably accept less for the sales if proportionally he gets that. But if he doesn't get that, that's when it becomes a stick or twist, roll the dice. And
sitting here talking about it for a month.
Exactly. I don't want to be sat here in 6 weeks' time because Emerson Royale's starting at right back because Pedro Porro's got injured because we didn't get rid of him and bring in an adequate replacement. And it is really, really frustrating. It is really concerning. But you and I both know that a lot can change in 6 weeks of a transfer window. We've seen it happen with Spurs.
My issue is, David, is if in 6 weeks we're still here, the season's already started.
If we're here in 6 weeks' time, then it's going to be a massive rant.
Started. We played 2 games by that.
I didn't realise.
Bear in mind, we've got our first 5 games. I don't know if you've seen the fixtures. I'm sure you have. They're not easy. They're not easy.
No. All right. Let me say 5 weeks then. Because we always do business.
So for me, for me, we need to get it done. I'm talking about getting the big business done. I'm not talking about the whole if something comes up later in the window thing.
Yeah.
Like the big business done, like the striker, the winger. If you're going to buy 6 and replace Højbjerg, I want that done like ASAP, and the whatever fullback. And then if something comes up,
a good opportunity, you can sell Ben Davies for 10 million and bring in a top left back. We were looking at some French league left back who's got really good positive stats that aren't that dissimilar to Udogie in his respective league. Although you and I both know we don't trust French league players. Then there's an opportunity to invest 10 million of your own money, sell one player, bring another player in, job done.
But that's but for me, I want them in before the season starts. So we've got Leicester away on the first day of the season. It's on a Monday night. That's not going to be an easy game.
So realistically, then we're saying we need to have at least 3 outs.
10th of August.
Within the next 3 to 4 weeks.
When do you need to register players for that game? The first game, is it the week Friday before, isn't it?
To be honest, I'm not so concerned about incomings. I would like players to be here for pre-season. But with how Ange rotates the squad and the amount of games or not, I'm not too concerned about having the incomings. I need the outgoings gone so we know that the incomings are going to happen. That's my concern. That's how I look at it. If we get to 3 weeks' time and not a single other player has left Tottenham, I'm going to be concerned that not only are we not getting rid of the players, but we're also not going to be bringing the players in. If we sit here in 3 weeks' time and Emerson, Højbjerg, and Brian Hill are gone and there's no replacements, we will confidently sit here and go, we're expecting at least 2 players coming in.
You'd hope, right?
Yeah, well, all right. I say confident loosely. I'd be confident. Harry would be
Who do you think
a couple of shots away from being confident.
Because obviously Vanderson's been mooted for the right back, so they're obviously looking at someone. Yeah. But for Højbjerg, I know we're going to talk about Gallagher as if he's going to come in. Because there was talk today, again, I saw a tweet.
From the Athletic as well, which is a good source. I'm not going to lie.
Do you know?
I am not until he's either right in a Spurs shirt, or the transfer window's ended. I don't want to talk about him. It's really that simple.
I might mute his name on my X because I'm so sick of reading.
Yeah, I am. Until he's either holding up a Spurs shirt and talking to Ange, or the transfer window's closed. I do not want to mention Conor Gallagher's name at all. I am so fucking sick to death of hearing it. It is the most merry-go-round rumour. Atletico Madrid are the most interested team. And then 2 days later, Spurs are going to put a bid in. Going to put a bid in when? Today? Tomorrow? 6 months from now?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? So I just don't want to talk about Conor Gallagher. Just sorry to anyone wanting me my opinion of Conor Gallagher. And the next person that asks me, I'm going to fucking scream. That's it. He's Chelsea scum as far as I'm concerned until he's wearing a lily white shirt. Yeah, so I think we've kind of come to a conclusion that if the outgoings don't start soon, we are really going to have a concern for the window. I think we have to be optimistic, but within the next 3 weeks, a lot of that tone can change. And it's episode 1. We want people to leave a 5-star review. Leave a 5-star review if you're on Spotify and like if you're on YouTube.
It's like and subscribe on Spotify
and all that jazz. We want people to stay, and I'm not going to be overly negative on the transfer window because, like I say, we're not even halfway through it yet. But I think we need to really, really start getting our ass in gear, especially with outgoings in the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, I think we're going to really struggle. And we don't want to be one of those clubs that's accepting even lower than market value for players just to get them out the door 3 weeks before the end of the season because you've got too many players who can't register or whatever. But yeah, the other thing I was going to say, what was the other thing we were going to talk about?
The strikers or...
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about strikers. Yeah. So I don't think we'll sign strikers this season. I think Richarlison will play for the centre. I think he proved that when he played for the centre and he was fully fit, that he can play the system. I think with the Europa League, there's an opportunity for him to score a bagload of goals. And I think he will... I think the club will plan for him to stay. I think Saudi will bid an obscene amount of money right at the end of the transfer window and will reject it because it's too late.
But I do think we will sign Tony. I don't know why. I just have a feeling we're going to sign him.
I think he's going to United.
No.
Because, let me tell you why, his agent was fully, giving it gobby the other day. All over social media.
Xerxes?
They've bought Xerxes, but his agent's still pushing him there.
Need Tony.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
All the strikers I've on the market ish. I say ish because I love someone like Isak, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen yet.
Let's
not open that can of worms again.
Yeah, but he's the cheapest one I've seen. I know it sounds weird. 30, 40 million, I think, is what they've been.
But let me tell you this though, I wouldn't put it past Spurs to sell Richarlison for 70 million in the final week Tony. And buy Tony.
Yeah.
I will say this now, Ivan, mate. If you're watching this, we'll put everything behind you. All your disrespect for previous clubs, I'll let it go if you wear my shirt. But you will not fucking take a penalty like you took that fucking penalty in the Euros. I hate it. I don't care what anyone wants to say. You pick your spot, you run up, you twat it into the corner. You do not have a staring contest like the local fucking creep with the goalkeeper. No, I'm sorry. I'm right. We'll save this for another episode, and we'll get a rival fan on or something to discuss it. Right, I fucking hate
Southgate. Well, I mean, he's gone now. But...
Yeah. We'll talk about that last once we've done all the Spurs stuff. I fucking hate that type of penalty run up. But anyway, other than that. Yeah, if he comes, he comes. If he doesn't. I don't think we'll sign an out-and-out striker if Richarlison stays, personally. I don't see it.
No, I kind of expect Richarlison to go. That's probably why I'm saying it. Even though I don't want him to go, I kind of expect...
If he goes, yes. If he doesn't,
I'll tell you what, if it's a situation where Werner didn't sign and Richarlison was here, I'd expect us to get Tony or someone like Tony almost straight away. But because Werner signed... it means for me, I think they're going to have to shift.
No, I don't think that. I don't think that because I'll tell you why. Because Brentford still want 60 mil. The only time that 60? Pressure drops, they want 60 initially. I think Levy will play chicken with Brentford until the very end of the window. That'll be one of those that comes down to the final day. I reckon he'll have played a game for Brentford before he signs for Spurs, if he's going to sign for Spurs. The other thing I was going to say was... Oh my God, I can't remember now. What do you make of the kits? Let's talk about the kits quickly.
Oh God, do we talk about the kits? I'm not a fan of them, I've been honest. I mean, the home one is
The home one's nice. If the red was blue, it would be a 10 out of 10
the home one was okay because it's kind of like a sort of throwback sort of...
That's what I was my stepdad,
But the away one's not, no.
The away ones, for me, I hate the fact the collar's wonky. I hate the fact the badge and the logo. Just put the Spurs badge, the Nike tick, and then the sponsor. I think that would have been fine. But
I think they
yeah,
tried to go
it looks
again like
ridiculous.
retro or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and then the third kit looks a bit. I like the badge, but I don't know. It's weird. I'll have to wait till we've got that one released properly, and then I can see it in person.
I mean, you buy because you buy the kit every year. I haven't bought a kit in
Yeah,
like 8 years.
I'm only getting one kit this year, and I'm only getting the home kit because I don't like the others. So thanks Spurs for saving me 165 quid, 170 quid, whatever the fuck it's going to be. Although actually, I'm buying 2 other kits anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. How are you feeling for this season? Are you excited for it? Do you think the Europa League will be great for us? Do you think do you still have that kind of I wish we'd got Champions League football, or do you think
Well, for me,
apart from Man United, I think we can win the Europa League.
I think on paper we can win the Europa League, but it requires us to take it seriously. In terms of missing out on Champions League, I wasn't bothered either way because we never have done anything in the Champions League apart from that crazy run that we had for that 1 year.
Yeah.
But generally, I think we would have been too early for this team. I think we would have been destroyed, if I'm being honest.
Do you think the experience the Europa League can bring to some of these young players like Gray and Bergvall, do you think that will mean that in 12 months' time, we'll be looking at an almost complete squad if we make the right signings?
I don't know about that. It kind of depends what kind of teams he puts out. Because for me, the biggest issue is if you look at his cup selection in the first game, he rested like 11 players.
But I think that's a one-off. I think that was a one-off.
For me, the only way this is going to work, and this is down to Ange in terms of like the use of these players, because if he puts them in with like mostly first teamers and say he starts, I don't know, obviously like, Vicario, Adogi, say like Dragusin with Van der Ven or something, or Dragusin and Romero, and then he plays Gray, say, for example. I'm just using an example like Gray out of the right back, and in midfield he plays Madison, Sarr, and Bergvall or something, or Madison's Bergvall and whatever senior number 6 we bring in, and then the attackers are like wherever the attackers are, because we haven't brought in like a young attacker. Then those players I think are more likely to like bed into the team. But if we're making wholesale changes, it's kind of pointless.
If it's a complete another 11 and there's like 1 or 2 of their young first team players in there, then we're going to be screwed.
Because they won't. It doesn't help them either, because if they say graduate in terms of like they do really well in that game, they're going to have any sort of chemistry with the players they want.
With the players they're going to be playing with,
and it's just like the deadwood plus the youngsters.
Yeah.
But it depends though. Unless, and for me, I don't want this to happen, but unless all our backups are going to be just young players, I kind of don't want them to all play together at the same time, because the Europa League isn't an easy competition. I know we said on paper right now, we could win it, but it's going to have to be. I think Ange's going to have to learn to play mixed sides, and he's going to have to learn how to rotate.
I think he will. When I was seeing people at the back of the last season like slagging him off for not playing Dragusin, he's going to leave next year if he's not playing. You guys are idiots. You guys don't understand what squad rotation is. You've been so deprived by some bald-headed businessman who owns our football club. You've been so deprived of what good squad depth is to understand that the same 2 centre-backs are not going to play 90 plus 10 minutes for 80 games in a season. It just doesn't happen.
But for me, I actually really like Dragusin. So
I like him, and he had a really good Euros. He gave us a real cameo of what kind of player we've got.
The game
I'm really
won,
confident
was
for
it
that.
3-0 against Ukraine?
Yeah.
I watched that. It was. I don't know why. I just watched every single game pretty much. But for me, that game, Dragusin was like man of the match. He was so good.
He's been rock solid. And on that topic, actually, before we go on to we'll talk about England, then we'll talk about the shirt. I thought Romero had an incredible Copa America.
I haven't seen any of it, so I can't really
I've seen some of the stuff people have shared. I've seen some stuff people have posted, and it looks like he had an incredible tournament. You go on man of match in the final. Even Emi Martinez said with him in front, it's almost impossible to concede. They conceded 1 goal in God knows how many games. It's unbelievable. So I'm really excited for him. And on a word on that, when we started the show, we mentioned about how Romero needed to deal with his rash behaviour, and was the vice captaincy a way to bring out that mature side of him quicker? I think it's safe to say it was, and I think it's safe to say it's worked, because he's been absolutely untouchable.
Have you seen the Real Madrid links?
Yes. Let's
Yeah.
not talk
So,
about that.
um,
Let's wait to the end of the window before I start crying.
yeah.
Because
So for me,
I'm
like
not confident we're going to keep him in 12 months'
that's
time
what I'm
if we
saying.
don't
If
get our
everyone's gonna
shit
come in
together.
for him, I think he's gone.
Yeah. Just give us Mbappe, Vinicius, plus 300 mil, and you can have
Bellingham,
Romero.
just not for Bellingham.
Yeah, we'll take Bellingham. Yeah, why not? England, quickly then. It was shit.
Thank you.
And
At least someone else gets it because
so you guys are hearing this on Friday, right? Obviously, you guys know that I was in London, in Birmingham today, which is Tuesday, and we were in a pub having lunch when I found out I was on the fattest bacon and cheeseburger. And when I found out Gareth Southgate had resigned, I'm glad he's gone on his own terms. I think we owed him that. I think he's done enough to prove that, and I think he knew that it was the end. I'm gutted he wasn't able to win something, and I'm glad that from where we were when we lost to Iceland to where we are now, this England team is 1,000 times better. That being said, he's still tactically inept, he's still tactically inconsistent, and the next manager better not be.
For me, with him, it's
Until I
just
know who the next manager is, I can't say whether it's a good idea or not.
for me when he lost me was 3 years ago against Italy. That was the game for me. I was just like, that's it. I
Yeah.
don't want this guy because if they could have won that,
Yeah, because
final.
Italy was
England could
shit.
have
Yeah,
won that
Italy was
final
so
easily.
shit. Yeah, that's why I don't have a problem with us losing to Spain because they were by far the best team in the tournament. They were
What I don't
very
like though in
consistent. They
that game,
played
David, is
well.
once England equalised, right, with
Yeah,
Palmer, I actually thought the momentum would go with England because
it
you
did for a very short period, but
but they
didn't
didn't really take
last.
advantage of it. They just kind of like
No,
let Spain get the ball back, and after that, that was it.
yeah,
The goal Spain scored was actually really good, though. Like both of them
it
were really
was. Both of them
good.
were really good. Yeah, so
But I actually
I think
prefer
it's
this
one
is
of them
very unpopular, but I prefer this Spain team in terms of style to like the one that
old school Spain that
won
dominated
the
everything.
was it 2014? Was it 2014?
Yeah, well, no, they won the 2008 Euros, then the 2010 World Cup, then the
Yeah, yeah.
2012
Because
Euros.
I'm not saying they were better players. By the way, this team, those had better players, but in terms of the
But the
style,
exciting energy of this Spanish team is
honestly,
absolutely
the
brilliant.
style was so good to watch. One touch, two touch, layoffs.
Who would you have as the next England manager?
See, I have two candidates.
You already know my answer. One of them's employed, so
I mean, I don't know one of them's going to take it, but Eddie Howe was one of them I considered,
okay.
and also Poch.
Oh no,
I did
no.
also think of Sean Dyche, but he's not even in the running. So
Sean Dyche should be fucking jokes. Genuinely, we would never concede with that defence. For me, I've said Jose for years. It's probably not going to be because he's at Fenerbahce. On the other end of the scale, if England don't go and offer him the sun, the moon, the stars, and the knighthood
I mean, Klopp.
for Jurgen Klopp,
Yeah,
the players we've
you know,
got.
turned down
Imagine
USA
Sterling.
though, because I watched Sky
Yeah, but
Sports
come
last
on,
night.
who wants to manage a soccer team? Sorry, so watching this. If you're American
Green Street,
Spurs fan, we
Green
still love
Street.
you all. But
Surrounds with
but
Green
like
Street.
for me, right?
That's
If you
soccer.
imagine this squad, under Klopp, though. Imagine this squad
Yeah.
under Klopp. Pickford in goal, Trent, John Stones, Gueye, Luke Shaw, Declan Rice, Bellingham, and I don't know who, can't remember who other
Foden.
midfielders. No, I'm thinking a bit more of a stronger, a bit more of a well-built, like engine sort of
Minu,
midfielder.
who's played last night.
Yeah, Manu, yeah, perfect, yeah, Manu. Or Manu and Rice, either way.
Yeah.
Palmer on one side, Sterling or Rashford on the other, and Kane in the middle. I think that squad in Jurgen Klopp, with his style of play, his aggression, his intensity, the pressing, I think that squad would win everything.
Don't get me wrong. I think Jurgen Klopp is like a great.
Don't get me
choice.
wrong, I don't like him at all, but I think that squad would win everything. I think that's our best chance.
I just don't think he'd want to take the job. He wants a break. He deserves a break anyway. I mean,
He does deserve a break. But what if, like, so we're basically already qualified for the World Cup, right? What if England manage? What if they say to him, it's July now? What if they say to him, you can start in January, 6 months break, no football, and then you start in January?
You remember when Jose went on his break before we got him? How long was he off for? Do you remember? Was it a year?
It was about no, I don't even think it was that long.
Because when he got sacked,
no, it might have been actually.
We got sacked because he gets. Is it after we?
I can tell you. Hold on. So yeah, it was 11 months. So he left Man United in December 2018 and joined Spurs in November 2019.
Yeah, so
It
I don't know.
says
Maybe
it was
Klopp might
11
even.
months. I don't.
I don't think it's going to happen, man. Klopp ain't going to come to.
I don't know. That's my dream choice. That's my dream choice,
I just don't
personally.
think it's going to happen.
No. I think we've pretty much covered all the general rule Spurs stuff. Obviously, me and Harry have been busy with our own lives and stuff when we took a break. The Discord link will be down below, so join that. There's some Spurs stuff in there, so you can keep on top of my posts. Actually, we have got a question. I'll ask you that in a second. If you want to be a guest, message me or Harry, no problem. For now, we're just going to have ourselves plus one guest, and then we'll move to more if we have like specific debates, but that will be a bit more planned and a
Probably
bit
nearer
more
to the
structured.
season because there's got
Nearer to the season, or once we sort of get into the season and there's something controversial to debate, then we can just
like
debate.
Europa stuff. I mean,
Yeah. If you're on Spotify, give us a 5-star rating, and if you're on YouTube, like, subscribe. That'd be great. The question we were left on TikTok was, let me make sure it's the only question, but the question we were left on TikTok was, let me find it. Got 11 notifications now. Oh, I saw people liking it. That's fine. It was, where's it gone? 3 signings, £100 million budget. Who do you want?
3
signings for £100 million budget.
Oh. Who can you buy with 100 million? I don't know.
That's fucking nuts. How are we even having this conversation? I reckon
if it was one player, it would be easier for me to say. But it's 3.
I reckon we go for Harry Winks. Cameron Carter-Vickers looks solid. No. Right. So I'm going to say Ivan Toney for 50 mil.
And then you have to spend 25 on the other 2 positions.
Yeah, I can count. Thank you very much.
No, it's just harder. I'm trying to think of 330 million pounds.
No. I'm going to say Ivan Toney for 50 mil. I'm going to say the French left back that we've been linked with recently, who looks really, really solid from Liga. I don't know his name.
Oh, I know
30 mil.
I'm going to say. But
For 30 mil. And I'm going to say pay AC Milan 20 mil to get rid of Emerson.
See, for me, I'd say Somerville, Notto, and Gularassi, whoever that striker is in Germany, who was like the second top scorer.
Didn't he fail his medical with Dortmund, though?
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, he was cheap. That's what I thought of him. I was like, he's a striker and he's cheap.
Yeah, we've been there and done that. Let's not do that again.
They're very players. It's not like
they're very, very shit answers. Ask us again in 6 weeks, and then we'll tell you. And on that topic, actually, and this fits really, really nicely. The gentleman who left that question, and it's not because he left that question, because it was already decided before we started recording. The gentleman who left that question goes by the name of Maverick Burns. And congratulations, you are the Spurs shirt winner. I know you're already aware of it, but nobody else was. I'm going to meet him in London on the 23rd, and he's going to come to the stadium, pick out his shirt. Hopefully going to do a little bit for TikTok while we're there as well. And then hopefully we're going to try and get him on the Spurs show. I think that'd be really good. But yeah, congratulations. There are going to be commiserations to you guys that didn't get it. There are going to be other giveaways, especially towards Christmas time or whatever. I'm like Santa Claus. I just like making people happy. So there will be other giveaways, especially I realise and understand that the current financial climate is difficult for a lot of people. So, you know, towards that time of the year, I want to do what I can to give back. One of those things is hopefully going to be, I'm going to go and sit outside the Spurs Stadium on a TikTok live, and the first person that comes up to me and says, "Come on, you Spurs," I'm going to get a Spurs shirt for. But that will be later in the year. That will be closer towards Christmas. So stay tuned for that, because that will come out on a random day. I might announce it on a podcast at the end, see who's listened, and then we'll go from there. That'd be quite funny, actually, because then we can test who actually listens to us the entire time. Other than that, like we said, like, subscribe, 5-star rating on Spotify. And if you want to be a guest, even if you like, drop
Just
in the
message
comments
me
or
or
message one of
Taylor,
us.
basically. Yeah.
That'd be good fun. Other than that, I think we've covered everything about 400 times.
Yeah.
So the only thing left to say, as we always say, at the end of every podcast, it's been 45 odd days, whatever, since we recorded the last one. But we're finally back. We're back for season 2. The season's just beginning. It's going to be really good fun.
And
Come on, you
Spurs.
Spurs.
Yeah.